Welcome to the Omri Casspi podcast. Today I'm hosting a really dear friend of mine, a two-time NBA champion, the best ambassador Georgia ever had, a dear friend, Zaza Pachulia. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, actually.
Actually, it's funny that you say that. You know, Zaza, when I'm thinking about you, bro, like the first thing that comes to mind is Zaza, know 4 languages, Zaza that reads so many books, the smart, the educated. I love it, bro.
That's why I got a big head.
You have a lot of brain. Oh, man.
No, I'm not saying a lot of brains, a lot of information.
Zaza, actually, you know, it's playing against you for so many years, and that year we had to play together with the Warriors was, obviously the best year of my career, and I know you won 2 NBA championships there, so obviously you have so many great memories, but it was just a fun experience playing together, bro.
It was fun. It was truly amazing. Obviously, both of us were feeling the same thing, right? You know, it's exciting to be playing, with Steph, Clay, KD, and other guys like Draymond, Andrew, all those guys, right? And play for the Coach Kerr and Dub Nation, one of the best fan base. But same time, like you and me, kind of, even though we didn't know each other as well and that well, we bonded, with families, and I guess because of the culture of our countries, Israel and Georgia has, and historically, and also us being in a different continent, that we are from the same continent. I don't know, all these things, little details got actually, it's not a little. I mean, it's pretty important, pretty special. I mean, Georgians really treated Israel and Israeli people fairly and nicely, and historically it's been like that. So it was great, man. Our friendship continues, and that's why I love the basketball, because it introduced me so many amazing people, and definitely one of them. And our friendship continues, and I'm really happy because of that.
You know what? No, I definitely relate to everything you're saying, and you know what really got me into my heart is that Shani and Tika became really close friends at the time, and one time we went on the road, and the first thing that came to mind when Shani was a little bit scared. We lived in a house. Me being away, we had a little kid that was literally when Sarai was, I think, 3 or 4 months old, and she went to sleep at Tika's house, and that was like I felt like. It was like a stronger bond, I don't even know how to explain it, but it meant a lot, it was like a family.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that Tika has been in a similar situation when she first got to the U.S., right. So we totally understand how that feels and how thankful we were when Tika could go to my friend's house and stay there. So again, relationships and friendship, this is priceless, man. This is right. Basketball's temporary, the friendship gonna carry over whole life, so especially us being international, like to travel. I mean, we're gonna see each other so many times, so it's great.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And it comes up in a lot of conversation I've had about talking about, our time in the Warriors and my time with the Warriors. And one specific story comes to really excites me more than all is when we were traveling. It was, I think, the beginning of the year even. And your kids, 2 of your sons came on the trip with us. I'd love to hear your story and how it came about, but it was truly amazing.
Man, that was special. Like what, obviously we all love our kids, and we want to give them the best experience and be amazing role models. But I'm so thankful for Steve Kerr, because I played for different coaches, and nobody had that policy. That you could bring your family members anytime on any trip. Right. So. Again, I'm not saying other coaches were bad. I mean, of course, I was lucky to play for amazing coaches and amazing mentors. But Steve just had this kind of view, right? The family always welcome, because far as we keep the players happy and, not miss family members, the kids, that much. And they're going to be around, they're going to perform better. So that was his mentality. So there were a couple of times on the East Coast trips where kids were off from the school. So I was hesitant in the beginning, but I said, you know, my wife would tell me, I think you should take. It's going to be an amazing experience for you as a parent, as a dad, and can you imagine how the kids going to feel? So I ended up taking them, and they were old enough, you know, to really understand and take care of themselves, and they were like 9 and 10, right? So, and they were boys. And I ended up bringing them, and it was amazing. Like, can you imagine bus rides, the practices, the games, and they were ball boys during the games, and you know, they came to the meetings, and we ordered like room service at nights and watched the movie together. Man, that
what an experience!
Because our life, you know how it is. Our life is we're so busy traveling and or the practice and come back home at 2, 3 a.m. from the trip, and they're already sleeping. And next day they wake up super early to go to school, and you miss all those fun stuff. You miss the fun age. You miss all these little small details. And you know, yeah, your wife is telling you, but it's not the same as it's going to happen in front of you. So again, I'm so thankful to see. I told Steve, I said, this is one of the highlights of my career where you let me bring my kids on the trips. And it happened a couple times. But
yeah, I mean, just thinking about a 9 and a 10-year-old as coming on the plane with Steph Curry, obviously their dad, and Steph Curry and KD and Clay and Draymond, Andre and Steve, and coming to the game against the Lakers at the time. They're rebounding for us. They're coming with us on the bus. I mean, what an experience. I remember calling Shani after, and I said to her, I'm so happy for Zaza. I'm really like, you know, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for the kids for having such an experience. It's you know, these are the experiences. At the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, it makes it all worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not about spoiling them. I really hope it's gonna motivate them. They're gonna appreciate. And they're going to value, and they're going to take it right way, basically. And then that was the goal, you know. So, but do you remember? I was joking that we lost first game on the East Coast trip, and second game was against the Philly. First half we were down by 20.
Oof, I remember that.
And one of the reasons why I was hesitant to bring them, I said, I don't want that to be distraction. Like, you're not bringing one kid, you're bringing two of them. Because I couldn't leave one at home. Like, it was 9 and 10 boys, like they like twins, you know. So and I was so nervous after the first half. I said, man, if we're gonna lose second game, especially we're talking about the team we had right in 2017. I said, we're gonna lose the second game in a row. I'm gonna send these kids, but I'm gonna FedEx them at home. So, but we ended up coming back and we won, and it was like a relief, man. Like, you know. Because again, last thing you want to do that to be distraction, and you know everybody's gonna understand the kids, you know. Then hopefully they were behaving well, and I was going to make sure of that. But still, the last thing you want to do to bring something distraction to the team, either with your personality or with your family or whatever it is, right? So, but we ended up winning, so you all worked out.
No, it's great, you know, and you know, it's really an amazing thing for the Warriors to do, and it makes you feel, and I said it many times in the past, is these little things for a basketball player and the way they treated our family and our wives and our kids. It makes you want to be a part of that culture, a part of that, and you know, these are the things I miss the most, right, about the NBA and about our time together, is the camaraderie, right? When we go on the road trip. You know, we're on the plane just chatting, talking about Israel and Georgia and, you know, business and learning from each other and having stuff next to us and, you know, whoever. And it was just really fun, you know. It was fun. We had dinners at every road game we get to, and it was just fun.
Yeah. You know what was amazing also? And that's what differentiates, like, you know, the franchises, right? When you treat the players and the families, you know, right way.
Right.
And I'm not throwing anybody out the bus, but
no, of course.
I'm just saying general. But you know what was amazing? Because of those team dinners, we not only we know each other, right, and getting to know each other better as a teammate, but we getting to know each other's family members better, you know. So that way we feel comfortable saying hi and, like, you know, asking how they're doing and checking on them, and you know, at least we know each other's family members, and that was amazing. Like, it was a really big family for us, and you could see on the court the way we played, right? So everybody was talking about Warriors chemistry, and it was starting from the dinners and trips, and us being able to bring families. And so again, kudos to Steve and Bob to allowing us and having their policy basically, and it was great.
Take me through some of the thought process. Obviously, me getting to the age, I'm going to be 32 in the summer. When was the time that you started to think about, your next stage in life? What do you want to do after basketball? Obviously, we're playing basketball our whole life from a very, very young age, pretty much from the day we remember ourselves. Take me to that steps that you started to think about. When was it? Was it lately? Was it when you were younger? Were you your prime years?
Everything started early, just like with you in our careers. We started playing professional ball when we were super young. I was 16, and probably you were somewhere there when you played for Maccabi, right? So,
right.
Then it kind of makes you used to, have early success. And I was 19 when I got drafted.
Wow.
Again, happened early of my careers in the life. And that just the stats was mind blowing to me, actually, where average NBA career was between 4 and 5 years, like 4.5 years, right? So almost like a one contract and then you out. And just thinking about the fact that every year there's a draft and potential 60 players coming in, that means the 60 players needs to go out. That's scary a little bit, right? So we're both lucky and privileged, and that we played 10 plus years, both of us, right? So getting all this information about the numbers and stats, and how difficult it is to maintain your spot. Injuries can be a huge part of it. That made me kind of start preparing for next career early. And I remember when I first took the classes, it was business class in Kellogg, Northwestern University in Kellogg Business School. I say, what, that's what I want to do. Because whatever I heard and learned during that 1 week business program, I loved it. I see myself. But obviously there was nothing, right? There was nothing compared to what I wanted to achieve and learn more. But that 1 week, especially to spend that week with amazing professor, amazing business school, they ranked in top 5 back then. So I said that I see myself. This is me. Like, it interests me, and I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. And every year I went to Harvard 3 times, and I'm doing Stanford now. So it's been fun. But in the same time, of course, I wanted to play as much as I could. And I was just lucky to end up playing 16 years. And more time you spend on the basketball court, of course, it was giving me more time to prepare for the next chapter. And every summer, every year, I was convincing myself, like, business and basketball is something that I want to do. And again, got to the point where I got a call last summer from the Warriors to join their, basketball operations and business operations. And, here I am. It's just year 1 for me as a rookie for this side, a rookie again. But it's been a fun year. Of course, we have 2020 a little bit was rocky. First, losing one of the icons and somebody who we admire and love, Kobe.
Right.
That really hit me and everybody else, of course. And it was a tragedy for our league and what we do, our big family in NBA. And then this COVID, obviously. But again, and then plus team was losing, after being in the finals 5 consecutive years. Now team in the losing season. But you know what? That's where you learn. That's where you learn when you're losing. But when you win, everything is good. You really don't see those small details, right? So I was kind of lucky in that regards.
Right. I truly think the team was losing this year is due to injuries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think a lot of people write the Warriors off, and it's kind of, even experts and stuff, I think it's insulting, a team that have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steve as a coach, the surroundings that they're gonna bring in. They have a really high draft pick. Now they traded for Andrew Wiggins. This team is gonna compete for a championship next year. They better believe it.
Yeah, future looks bright. Again, we on the paper, and we saying that, but again, you and me, both of us being part of this and understanding what Steve's strategy and game plan is, and whose staff is, and what Klay can do, and when Draymond is locked in and playing his best, how amazing he is defensively and offensively, helping others, and like you say, now we've got the young talent like Wiggins and draft pick. Future is bright, and I'd take this kind of chance anytime, to be honest. Of course, it was amazing to have KD on top of it. Of course, it was great to have a younger staff and younger Klay and healthy Klay. But still, they experienced the 5 finals and 3 championships. So just that fact, you can't take for granted to have that experience and heart of the champion, like they say.
Right. And what made you, because you talked about business, and I know you do a lot of different things off the court, and you started it while you was playing. What made you decide to stay around basketball?
That's what I've been doing for all my life. Having my basketball academy also in Georgia kind of got me into management on the other side of the game, and building the relationships with different players and seeing how our generation, you see a lot of them, either coaching staff or the management staff. That's all this, when you collect all these things, at the end of the day, basketball is a business, so one thing, I don't believe in separation. I think basketball operations and business operations should be working together. And should have an amazing amount of communication, and because you're doing same thing, and to get together basically. It's good to have a little bit of knowledge of both, and same time, I'm so lucky to be learning from Bob Myers, who is one of the best when it comes to being a general manager, and his experience of also, he used to be an agent, so he's been both sides. And also Rick Wells, who is the president and COO, and whole executive team, C-level executive team. I mean, they've been amazing. This franchise truly know how to pick the right people, and they're doing an amazing job. And numbers don't lie. Numbers out there, and on the court, off the court, they've been so successful. So I'm just lucky to be around them and learn them and help them as well. Bring your experience and your knowledge.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things, and I remember when I signed with the Warriors, it was it was July 1st when I talked for the first time with Steve. And it's funny that you mentioned that they bring the right people in. Me and Steve had, I think it was a 25 to 30 minute conversation, and essentially, I think 80 to 90% of the conversation was about how would I deal with adversity, and how would I deal with not playing, how would I deal with, Steph taking most of the shots, or whatever it is, right? And because it was so important for them that they have such a good group of guys there, to keep that culture and to obviously build that, culture going forward, and to bring good people and quality people in.
Yeah, I mean, that was difficult. I'm sure you have not dealt with this kind of situation. And I remember you started playing amazing, and then you got injured and kind of brought you down. You had ups and downs with the injuries, but you couldn't get a consistency. Sometimes you'll see, what did I do? Like, why I'm not? Yesterday I played so good, and next day you didn't get this kind of playing time. But you know what? End of the day, like, that was the strategy, to have those 4 or 5 guys who would play a consistent basis, and the rest of us just said to be ready anytime, and be pros and support the team and be the team players and be good people. So even with the center, you remember I would start, then JaVale would come, and 6 minutes on the mark in the first quarter. Then D West would start the second quarter, and then we would finish the game with Draymond on 5.
Right.
You know, so and sometimes they would throw Looney out there on 5 in 2017. So there were a lot of nations when, you know, a lot of people playing on centers. But again, that's what made us special team. That's why we had such a successful year, I guess, and Steve believed in it. And, you know, we just had to be pros and ready. It wasn't easy, though. Of course, as a basketball player, as a competitor, you want to play more. And, you know, I had moments where I got frustrated a couple of times. And Steve was amazing. He saw it. And, you know, he would treat everybody the same, 1 to 15, you know. Right. So it doesn't matter if you're Steph Curry or if you're Zaza, like, with the role player, right? Even though I was starting, he would treat you the same. He would like care about you, and you know how many times he pulled me on the side, gave me a compliment, or tried to help me and mentor me. And I'm so thankful for these moments because you know now looking back, you know it was a great experience.
No, and I think as men, as professionals, as NBA players, as guys that, you know, we represent something. You represent yourself, your family, your kids, Georgia, and so many people look up to you. You know, me representing Israel, etc., and my family, obviously. But you know, when a coach respects you and comes to you and speak, you know, through your eyes, and he's, you know, I remember him having an argument with, you know, like you said, 1 to 15, and he's giving you that respect. You know, it's a conscious decision you make. You going into the Warriors, obviously, and you know your role is going to change. It's going to be up and down and inflection. You know, you go and playing some games 25 minutes, and then the next day I'll play 2. And obviously, as a competitor, as a guy, you want to go out there and play. I remember having that game in, I think it was a home game against Phoenix. You know, I had a good game. The next day, I literally played 2 minutes. And it's like, you know, and you got to understand, it's part of the culture. It's part of what they do, and that's what makes them so successful. So I have a question that I'm intrigued in, and I know obviously a lot of people, you know, listening to us. Obviously, NBA players or basketball players in general, athletes, you know, we retire at a, you know, essentially we think we've been through a lot, right? At 35, you know, we've been, you know, you've been 16 years in the NBA, which is remarkable. I've been 10. I'm still 32 years old, but you know, we still have a whole life ahead of us. When do you think, what would be your advice? When do you think should be the day or the time that you start thinking about life after basketball, right? There's always this argument also with army people in Israel, right? They retire at the age of, I think, 42 maybe, or 46, which is still I think it's 42, but it's still a very young age, and they have the whole life ahead of them. When do you know, when would be your advice to, like, you know what, let's say you're going into some sort of a path, when would you'd start to think about the next stage in life? Yeah,
great question, a very important one too. And, you know, this is one of the challenges us as an athlete and people can have. It's easier to say but than done, right? So, but my advice will be as early as possible, you know, just find that, you know, what do you like, what do you want to do, you know, and if you can. And again, I understand it's very easy. Like, you know, what, 21-year-old, you know, you want me to think what I want to do when I'm 30? Of course, it's not that easy. And things change, you know, things can be different, and what can be different 10 years later. You might change your mind, and some small detail or experience can change your mind. But again, you have to try to, you know, find that love and, you know, desire is something that you want to do. And I always bring the example of Sean Livingston, our dear friend, and, you know, our another actually, right? So, you know, the guy was so talented, and I remember the draft pick. Actually, he was one of the most exciting players in the draft, and, you know, no disrespect to other, you know, players who were that draft, but he was amazing, tall, hard. He could pass, dribble. I mean, athletic. I mean, it was fun to watch. I mean, the highlights I saw of him in his afro. And you know, what was it? His rookie contract.
I think 4 games in.
During his rookie contract, he gets injured. Yeah, he gets injured, and a couple doctors say you're done. Your career is done. Wow. You know, so. My point is, like, earlier you start thinking about the future, better it is, because you never know how lucky you're going to get. Are you going to be able to play 4 games or 10 year or 20 year? You know, so But you can't plan it. It's impossible. Right. You can't. So you just have to be smart, take care of yourself, and try to do everything, whatever is going to keep you on the court and in this game as long as possible. Because, last thing you want to tell yourself, I wish I worked harder, or I wish I would take care of myself more. That way I could play another year or two. And how many players you've seen, like, try to come back after retirement, Right. A lot of them. And, most of them has been unsuccessful because it's very hard. Once you exit, it's very hard to come back. So maximize your career and start thinking about next chapter earlier as possible, So that would be my advice.
I can definitely relate to it. I think, my mom and dad from a very young age, pushed me to study, whether it's in school, even when I was a professional basketball player for Maccabi already at the age of 16 or 17, I wanted to finish with a high school diploma and stuff like that. And it was very important for them, and I'd love to get into a little bit of basketball, right? So you made the step into, front office, business and basketball related. And I have a question that I've always been intrigued by, right? So when you look at the draft, right? And the Warriors have a pick, but it doesn't have to be just about the Warriors. And from a thesis perspective, right? What's your hypothesis from perspective of you got a pick, and do you draft the player, the most talented player? Do you draft the player that the team needs the most? Or what's your thought process on drafting the right player for your team?
Yeah, like you say, it's, again, first of all, I'll tell you, it takes so much work, scouting. And one thing I learned this year, scouting is one of the most important tools. And reason why is it's every year. Either you scout the college player, or you scout the international player, or you scout the free agents. I mean, scouting is the most important part of this game. You need it all the time. You need throughout the season. If trades going to happen, you need in the summertime, drafts and free agency, etc. So I've been doing that this year, right? And my takeaway is you got to find a balance. I mean, perfect scenario will be somebody super talented and somebody is very high IQ, intelligent player who is ready to come and contribute. That's the ideal. But those kind of players are not as rare. So sometimes a lot of times they're missing something. But you have to be smart to pick and choose. And again, culture is important. Same time, talent is very important too. End of the day, you end up in front of a decision to make, and sometimes you just have to ignore something. Sometimes you have to ignore the personality and say, you know what, this guy is the most talented guy in the draft, and I'm just going with it. Just roll the dice. And it also depends what pick you have. For later picks, you can risk more. Higher picks, you have to really, really do your homework and due diligence on the player, and then make sure you draft the right player that way fits in your culture, and that he's going to be your player next couple of years. And it's kind of pressure on you as well from fans and media, and you don't want to just miss out. And so that's the toughest part. That's why you need a lot of homework and evaluate the player, his IQ, watch as many games as possible, and try to find out his personality and what drive he has and how much he loves basketball. Because we've seen so many guys like just doesn't love basketball. They right. play basketball because they're tall, or they told them like you can make it pretty good money in there. So that's why it's important to try. You have time until either it's June, and this year probably it's going to be later. We don't know yet, but until end of the June, you have enough time to find as much information as possible about a potential draft guy.
No, but it's really interesting to see that, because us living in this world now, and we obviously doing a lot of different things, and you see technology companies and you see other companies, and this culture of even having one bad person in that locker room, right? It can affect the energy of the team. Yeah. It can take away from other players. And obviously, now people understand maybe more than ever. When I came in the league, we had some ed cases in the locker room, right? It was sometimes even, not scary, but, I remember having guys like saying, hey, I got you, you're going to be my rookie. We still do that today, right? But, the league shifted from to have these guys do a lot more. You see now a lot of guys getting into becoming really, high-profile investors, and they have technology company, KD35, Steph, everything they do. Clay doing his own little thing, Andre doing their thing, and I think you see these guys are really quality guys, and it really affects the entire organization.
Absolutely, and again, like you say, Omri, that you bring one guy that is kind of opposite. And it's going to mess up with your culture and chemistry in the locker room, something you've been trying to build for years.
Right.
That's the last thing you want to see and experience as a front office and as a franchise. That's scary. That's truly scary, because a lot of it can become a snowball. If that's the case, and then guys trying to want to leave, or to trade that you can't really trade, and it's going to be a mess. So that's why it's important to do your homework, due diligence, and make sure you bring the right guy when it comes to personality and they're going to fit in your culture, and at the same time be a talented player.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to hear a little bit about some of the stuff you do with Zaza Pachulia Academy in Georgia, and the work you've done over the years. Definitely relate to a lot of that.
It's fun, man. I always dreamed about to have academy back in Georgia. You know who motivated me about that? Sabonis.
Really? Wow.
Back then, Sabonis Academy was pretty.
You played against Sabonis, Zaza?
Pretty big. I never did, but I got to know him. And as an international player in Europe, Sabonis Academy was, I read some articles, and I actually visited Sabonis Academy while I was playing. Wow. I remember there was a basketball without borders in Lithuania, so we visited Sabonis Academy and Marcelonis Academy. So I said, wow, this is so cool. Like, you can basically help your country, kind of give back and share your experience and knowledge, right, and with the kids, with the next generation, and same time, kind of opening doors for them and giving them an opportunity to play basketball in a good gym, hire the good coaches, and help the coaches as well. So that was kind of my vision and dream. And I was lucky enough one day to made the decision. Of course, I got lucky that the facility I have, how government decided to give it to me to kind of chase my dreams, because there was an interview, and in the interview I mentioned, once I retired, I'm thinking about opening my basketball academy, and for that reasons which I just mentioned just now. And Mayor and Minister of Sports read that article, and I got a call this summer. They said, we have a facility for you to open your academy. I know you've been thinking about it. So I got so happy, and I said, but I was planning to do it after retirement, so I'm still playing. And I say, give me like a week or so. That way I really just to see if I can, because, my goal always been either I'm doing the right way or I'm not touching it at all, So again, it was a huge responsibility. You're talking about hundreds of people right now. We have almost 1,000 kids in our academy plan, from ages from 6 to 18, boys and girls. So it's a huge responsibility in front of a lot of families, and talking about their careers and their lives probably. So I kind of made a couple phone calls. I was thinking a lot, and say if I had enough time and if I was ready to do this. And I say this is a lifetime opportunity. So I said I want to do it, and I decided to do it, and it's going great. Like I say, every year. Last year, Dirk came, and Dirk Nowitzki visited my academy, and Marko Milic also visited. Bosha Nachbar visited me. So you next, actually, you should come.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And you should see the faces of those kids and how excited they are, and the questions they had. And again, in 1 hour or so, obviously they're not going to become amazing basketball players that if you teach them want to move or something. But this is a moment they're going to remember all their lives, and hoping that once they're going to be successful people, they're going to do the same things to our kids, you know. So I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying it to be part of it, and, you know, with the amazing group I have with the coaches and with the director that is running the academy. So it's been great.
That's great. Oh, that's great. You have so much to teach them about the game and about the way you conducted yourself, Zaza. You know, when we first, I think we first met, or a couple of weeks into the time we met, I told you that, you know, the Georgian people are really, really special people. You know, I've always been around the Georgian community here in Israel. I have many Georgian friends. I remember even saying, listen, Zaza, I don't think I ever met a bad Georgian guy. And you definitely live up to that, you know, and to that expectation. And we had, you know, the time we've had playing together. I remember the night we went to Washington. I remember the Georgian restaurant in Washington. And we had khachapuri there. And it's just, you know, these experiences, you know, I will definitely cherish forever. You know, one thing I wish I would have done more is obviously we speak 4 languages, and I think you have a couple of words in Hebrew, and I got to do a better job as a friend to teach you more. Next time we're together, we'll work on your Hebrew. But, you know, truly, you've been an inspiration to the entire nation, your nation, the people in the U.S. You've had such a success. You had success in Atlanta, you know, your time in Milwaukee with the Warriors, you know, winning championship, being such a vital role of that team, you know, connected everyone together, you know, it's been a true pleasure, really, talking to you. You're always going to be a number 1 guest for me here in Israel. I'd love to do many stuff with your academy. I know we connected Maccabi back then to do maybe a tournament together and play together. And I would love to push it, especially now me being here. I would love to push it as much as I can to bring other people to donate money and to do this tournament, whether it's going to be in Georgia or it can be here in Tel Aviv. And you're a dear friend. Send my love and regards to Tika and the kids. Thank you so much for doing this, Zaza.
Thank you, actually. It's, you know, again, you have special place in my heart. So, again, now we have time, no excuses. We should see each other more often, and definitely visiting each other in Georgia and Israel sounds good, especially now after this pandemic. I believe Israel announced 8 countries that Israeli people can travel, and Georgia is one of them. So that goes because of the way Georgia handled the pandemic and COVID, and the numbers are so good and, you know, so positive compared to other countries.
That's great.
What I mean positive is good numbers, but at the same time, the relationship law we have, these 2 nations, and, you know, again, I'm really glad to get to know you and build such a special relationship with you. So I love you, brother. Take care of yourself. Good luck. You're doing amazing things with this podcast, and I'm sure you're going to have some exciting, way better speakers and guests than me.
You're at the top of the list, brother. I love you. Thank you, Zaza.
All right.
עד כאן הפודקאסט של עומרי כספי. היינו עם זזה פצ'וליה, חברי היקר. נתראה בפרק הבא.